Welcome back to Let's Play Guild Wars 2. Now, this is actually the second time I'm recording this episode because I had an issue with the first one because, I don't know, man, OBS has been doing this weird thing that it just randomly, with zero warning, disconnects all my audio, devices. I don't know why. There's zero rhyme or reason for it. It's not like I ever really disconnect these devices. It's not like I give it any reason to disconnect these devices. I don't know. But I had recorded this episode where we actually did a public event of Dragonstorm. There is a public version of that event, and ironically there was kind of a funny moment in the middle of it where my game just crashed. Not sure why, but it just did. But something I want to talk about is weird. It's why I'm not thrilled that I'm now playing PvP. I wanted to talk about. So for those of you that know, maybe I should just say, I would say, I mean, I'm not like a poster or anything, but I would say I do occasionally look through like the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, just to get a lay of the land, see what's going on. It's a good way to get informed about certain things. And one of the big things that's coming up is, for the there's a big balance patch coming, and it's specifically a balance patch surrounding a lot of PvE aspects of PvE, and it's dropping on May 11th. And the biggest thing about this patch is that they're changing the way that exposure works. Exposure is the thing when you break like a boss's endurance, and like usually it stuns them or whatever, and they take increased damage. They're changing the damage increases for certain sources. So right now I think they're taking 50-50. It's a 50-50 damage increase from physical and conditioning. I think it's 50-50. I could be totally wrong about that though. But it's, yeah, whatever it is. And they're changing it to, I think it's going to be like not as much for physical, and they're buffing the condition damage that's going to be dealt. And people are kind of freaking out about it a little bit, not gonna lie, because a lot of people think it's basically gonna push people to play nothing but condition builds. And it's a big buff that these condition builds are getting. It is nothing but a straight buff and a straight buff to condition damage and a straight nerf to power damage when it comes to these bosses. And hey, that's a bad thing for me. I'm a power daredevil, you know. So I think though the thing is, if you were to go look at Reddit right now, like people are kind of freaking out a little bit, and a lot of it is centered around, again, a lot of people think they're basically going to have one class that they can play, and they think it's going to be certain condition classes. And there's been a lot of conversation surrounding that lately. Like I said, I think, look, you can't deny that condition classes are going to be better. They're receiving a flat damage buff, while their counterpart is receiving a flat damage nerf. Well, it's percentage technically, but in terms of the way that it shakes out, it is just a damage buff and or nerf. Oh my god. So why? Why Capricorn? Why do you people do this? So I think my biggest issue, look, like I said, it's not out yet. We're still over a week. We're a week, well, it's actually technically a week now because it's Tuesday. So it's a week from today that this is going to drop. And I think people, for the most part, are definitely, at least to a certain extent, overreacting. I don't think this is something... Look, this is a big thing. You're making a change to the very systems of the game. And that's no small thing. You know, when you make a change to just one class, whether it be for PvE or PvP, you're making a change to one class. When you're changing the way a system works, I mean, they're changing the damage numbers and increase numbers on an entire system. That's a big thing because it affects every class, which is why... you know, I think a lot of people are kind of freaking out about this a little bit. And my only issue is that I think... What? Is that I think, as of right now, in my opinion, I think it is too soon to try and make a claim about this, about what this is going to do. I think we could crunch numbers all we want and say it's going to do X, Y, Z and try to come to the best estimation that we can, but I don't think you can realistically sit here and say everyone's going to be forced to play X class, everyone's going to be forced to play Y class. Yeah, I don't think you could do that right now. I just don't. And some people might disagree with that assessment, but it's what I feel. I think it is too soon to be saying we have definitive things that we're going to have to do. We know what's coming. They said they're doing this in an attempt to try and increase diversity, and I think that's probably fair. I think the PvE content in this game, at least in terms of builds and whatnot, has been kind of flat for a while now. I mean, think about it. I mean, I made this Daredevil build God knows how long ago, and I made it specifically because I literally like looked up like Guild Wars 2 Thief builds, and this is what I got. And I think I've been using this build for like 2 years or something like that. It's been a long time. And is this man playing the game? Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I think trying to inject some diversity is a good thing. I don't know if they're going about it the right way. I mean, I think we've seen an example. I think you could argue it's my opinion. I think League of Legends, like if you play League and you've taken a look at some of what they did in their like preseason stuff, I think they went about trying to inject diversity in a very poor way, with some very poor item balance and a couple of other things. But again, that is my opinion. You know, and that is, again, it is only my opinion. I was gonna say I had to have gotten that guy down, right? I don't know why I'm using this right now. Oh, and it's blinding bolts. So I think it's one of those things. I really want to see it come out first before we try to really, like, start passing judgment on it. I still think it's too soon. And people will call me stupid for believing that, but that's what I believe. And don't pull me closer, please. Oh, get me up, get me up, get me up. Oh, I love it, I love it. So I think it's going to be interesting. One of the most interesting things that they're doing, in my opinion, is that they're actually buffing short bow for Thief quite a bit. And that is part of a basically universal buffing that they're doing for certain condition builds. Because condition builds largely have been kind of pushed out by power. And short bow is like the Thief condition damage item. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to spec into short bow. It might happen. Some of the buffs actually do look pretty good, pretty substantial. And, you know, who knows? It's really, really tough to tell right now. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Alright, buddy. You're feeling good about yourself. We get it. Wait, he was spinning! Okay, man. Okay, man. Alright, man. Don't get me, please, bro. So I might have to actually think about trying to perhaps spec into short bow, because some of the buffs that they're giving it are really nice. And I really like the way that they're looking at the moment. You know, it's one of those things, again, I can look at it and say these buffs look really good. We might start playing it and be like, hey, these buffs suck. They're not doing anything. Because I don't think short bow's great right now. I think it really lacks. I think dual pistols are just basically better than short bow in just about every way. Or most ways, at least. Which is obviously what they're trying to fix to an extent. So... Heck, that man is dead. Oh my god. I'm on a rampage, apparently. I'm not quite sure how. Maybe it's... Okay.
They've taken the bazaar from you.
Is that their point or ours? But yeah, I think it's just very interesting, and I do think, like I said, I think people are overreacting to an extent. I think... I'm actually kind of excited. I think I'm one of the few people that I've seen that is... you know, fairly excited to see this, see how it plays out.
The archway.
And I do hope it brings diversity to the game. Like, I think some people, brutal honesty, the way they're acting, it kind of just seems like they want it to fail just because people like to see companies make what they think is the wrong move. Even if it's for a medium that they enjoy. Obviously, these people that are on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, they like Guild Wars 2. But I think people just like to see certain things fail. And I think there are a lot of people at the moment that are really hoping this fails. And look,
getting serious.
If we're speaking about the highest of high-level gameplay, you know, in terms of, you know, when it comes to those sorts of people, maybe this is going to be a problem. Maybe for, like, the most, you know, serious of people that are running these groups, maybe these nerfs are going to be a really, really big problem. You know, I don't see it. It doesn't, the numbers, like, even if you look at the numbers, it's like I said, it's something like 15% off power damage during exhaustion, or excuse me, during exposure, and I think it's, I want to say maybe it's plus 30. I think that's closer than whatever the hell I said before. I think that's a lot closer, actually. Like, I don't see that, because you have to also think about the way condition damage works. It's not, you know, condition damage is not, you know, used, you know, it's not dealing out, you're not dealing a lot of damage quickly with condition damage, obviously. That's the point, you know, it wouldn't be condition damage if you were. So, can you guys please stop this? Like, please just leave me alone. Alright, I guess I'm dead. And they're gonna get the point. No, keep wasting your time with me. We're getting the point. We're getting it. Keep killing me, man. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of excited, and maybe we will try out the shortbow buffs. It seems like I think it's more poison damage, and I believe actually some of the animations for shortbows were made better, and I believe those are actually universal buffs. So I believe those are, you know, I don't think the animation times are going to be different between PvE and PvP. So I would assume those are universal timing buffs. And maybe that's all it needs, you know, sometimes it's those real insignificant buffs that look like, you know, that actually end up being the ones that make a big difference. And who knows, I think this is all, at the end of the day, going to be very, very interesting. When this eventually does come out, and it looks like this is how this is going to ship. You know, everyone's complaining does not appear to have done much in terms of ArenaNet's opinion of this patch, you know, in terms of what they're doing. So it does appear that this is going to be the way that this comes out. And so we're just going to have to live with it. And I think it's going to be very interesting. It might get me back into PvE content. You know, look, I'll be brutally honest. I've been playing a lot of PvP because I think some of the PvE content lately has been kind of stale. So maybe, you know, bringing in new ways to actually do this stuff will make a guy like me sort of come back to it. And I think that's probably their goal. I think that's what's frustrating people a lot, is that their goal is to get someone like me who has not really been playing PvP to come in and play PvP. Or PvE, excuse me. For the people that are already incessant, I didn't even look at the stats, although I dealt much damage. For the people that are incessantly playing PvE, that don't want any change, that know their builds, that know the way they're running it, this is probably really frustrating to them. But, you know, look, and I get it to an extent. You know, changes to PvE, I think, are always going to be a little less well received than changes to PvP, because you don't expect them as much. You expect changes to PvP, right? Like, you know, class is busted, you gotta nerf it. You know, whatever. Thing is bugged, you gotta nerf it. You know, people expect changes to PvP. They don't expect changes nearly as much to PvE. So I think, again, I think there's a lot of overreacting to this. I think there's a lot of armchair developers right now. And look, if they get it wrong and this stuff shakes out to be real awful, and even just killing bosses just feels terrible, like, I'll be the first one to call ArenaNet out on it. Like, if these exposure changes, and I'm going to be a pretty good judge of them because I'm a power player, I'm a power thief, you know, I'll be the first one to call it on it, you know. So, but I think trying to call them on it before it's even gotten here is a little sus. It's a little, you know. So I can only hope it's good, because I you know, as with any changes, you hope it's good. And I just hope they do it right. I hope they really have the right idea here. Like I said, I think you can look at other games that have really tried to make changes, and I think League's changes, you know, if we were to take another big game, I think League's changes, and they were looking for diversity too, were mostly bad. I think the item balance in League right now is really bad. For as much as they said they want to bring diversity, I think every character basically has one item they build. There's really not much diversity at all. And that's on their own balance and whatnot. And Guild Wars 2 is kind of in that state right now. Every class has kind of been figured out in terms of what is the best way to play this class. So I'm hoping that this, what they're trying to do to try and diversify things really works. Because I think it's very possible that it doesn't. But I don't think diversity in classes and build type is ever a bad thing. I don't even know if that necessarily could be a bad thing. Too much diversity amongst the, within the classes. Damn it, So I can only hope it works. And obviously we'll get a better idea of that probably in the days after it gets released. But who knows? That's where I'm going to end that. We actually won a PvP game. My PvP games have been so sad lately, so I'm glad we actually got a win, and a decent win. So that is where I'm going to end this episode. Kukumura thanks you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.